Hello, everybody, and welcome to this Protection Insight podcast. My name is Vincent O'Connor, and I'm Head of Protection here at the Right Mortgage and Protection Network. And each week, we publish a different Protection Insight podcast to our advisors where we talk about anything as long as it's protection. So it could be a sales idea, products, technical, or anything else that helps advisors put protection and keep protection firmly on the agenda. Now, in this podcast, I wanted to share a very simple sales idea which will help you find the income protection budget specifically with your self-employed clients. I can't say that I completely came up with the idea myself. It actually came from an advisor who's really good at advising and recommending income protection to all of his clients. So let me give you the background. A few years ago, I spoke to this advisor and I asked him, what is it that makes you so successful at selling income protection? His numbers were excellent and he had a really good balance of the amount of life cover to critical illness cover to income protection. And he told me that there are several things that he does within his sales process. For a start, he actually talks about income protection. That's a start, isn't it? He talks about income loss, talks about incapacity with his clients, and he actually asks them a direct question. How would you cope if you unexpectedly lost your income? But then he mentioned something specific to me, which was about self-employed people. He said that for self-employed people, they arguably need income protection more than anybody else. And I would agree with that, because if you think about it, if you're self-employed and you don't work, you don't get paid. But he said there's a really great sales angle that he uses that he points out to his self-employed clients. And it's all about national insurance. And it's because national insurance typically is more for people who are employed. People who are self-employed pay less. But they pay less, but they don't get as much. So employed people get more state provisions than self-employed people. And he points out that's where he gets the budget for income protection. Now, I found it fascinating and I went away and pondered it and I was thinking about it for a good while. And I was thinking to myself, well, how much exactly, though, do employed people pay more than self-employed people? Is it easy to work it out? Is it quick to work it out in front of a customer? I think if I was that self-employed client, I'd want to know what the difference was. So if it was, say, something like £50 a year, would I even be bothered? Maybe, maybe not. But if the difference was much greater, maybe that would motivate me to take action. So it got me thinking of building a tool that advisors could use, point of sale, with their self-employed clients. So let's give you the setup. Here's Mike. Mike is a self-employed client and let's say he earns £50,000 a year. Now he doesn't have any income protection arrangements and up until now, he's never even thought about it. So I might say to Mike, Mike, did you know that there are different protection considerations for you and for your family? And it's all about making sure that you can keep up your mortgage payments and maintain your standard of living. But one that you really should pay attention to is what happens if you can't work anymore? What sort of things could potentially stop you from working? And after a bit of consideration, the client could say, well, maybe I could have an accident, could go off work sick. But also there's other things too. You could actually have something seriously wrong with you or the worst thing of all, you could die. But think about it. What's the most likely thing for someone in your position? What do you think the most likely thing is that could stop you from working? Maybe they would say something like, I could have an accident, maybe I need to take some time off work. Yeah, or you could go off work sick. Simple as that, really. So how much money do you expect to earn this year, Mike? Around £50,000? Well, did you know that an employed person who earns exactly the same amount of money as you, £50,000 a year, they actually pay a lot more in national insurance contributions than you. An employed person pays class 1 national insurance. A self-employed person, such as yourself, pays class 2 and class 4 national insurance. They might even be paying class 3 voluntary contributions. And in fact, if we look at the rates for this current tax year, 2021-2022, an employed person earning £50,000 a year paying class 1 national insurance would pay £1,054 more than a self-employed person like you. They pay more because they get more. The thing is, if an employed person can't work, they can claim statutory sick pay. And that rate at the moment is £96.35 a week. And they could claim it for up to 28 weeks. It's paid by the employer. But for you, Mike, you are the employer. As a self-employed person, you're not eligible for statutory sick pay. So my suggestion is that we use some of that £1,000 saving and we buy a sick pay scheme, which is much, much better than state statutory sick pay. It's called income protection. It'll pay you a lot more than £96 a week and it'll pay it for a lot longer. if you find yourself in a position where you can't work due to accident or sickness. Now, you probably think that's quite a good way of finding the budget. I certainly do. But how do you work out the numbers quickly and effectively? Well, that's what I was pondering a few years ago, and it's when I came up with my national insurance calculator. I was working at Royal London at that time, and their marketing team were good enough to build it for me. So all you need to do is go to the Royal London Advisor site. In fact, what I'm going to do to demonstrate this is go to Google and I'll type in the words Royal London National Insurance Calculator, and that'll take us straight there. They've built a little video to demonstrate the sales angle, but if we scroll down, you can see here we can enter our client's name, which is Mike, and we know that Mike earns £50,000 a year, and all you need to do is press the calculate button and you can instantly see the results. Now on the left-hand side, you can see the employed situation. So someone earning £50,000 a year, paying Class 1 national insurance would pay £4,851.85. Someone else, like our client Mike, self-employed, earning £50,000, paying Class 2 and Class 4 self-employed national insurance contributions would pay £3,797.48. And that is a difference of £1,054.37. Yes, they pay less, but they get less. I think that's a really good way of positioning where you can find the budget to pay for a much better sick pay solution, which we know is called income protection. As you can see, you can print this off and you can take it with you for whenever you have that conversation with the client. But equally, why not let the client type in the numbers themselves? I think it's a really good tool to use, and I've designed it so that it's quick and it's simple. But one more thing, do have a play with it first, because you will find that the numbers do fluctuate. The gap isn't always that big, and sometimes self-employed people actually pay more national insurance. It's always relative to the income that you're analysing. So I hope you found all of that useful. Thanks for listening to this podcast. All the best, and bye for now.